Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Minecraft survival world. Today, we've got a bunch of really fun things happening, and the primary one is based off of what we discussed in last week's episode, and a couple of them leading up to that. It's finally time for us to get some time-lapse footage in, and that is going to be mainly pertaining to the walls of the home that we have been working on. So let's go ahead and roll that footage, and then I'll come back in and talk to you a little bit about the reasoning behind the decisions that I made with that. So let's get into that footage right now. Well, I certainly hope that you enjoyed that time-lapse footage because I had a lot of fun doing this build. And let me tell you a little bit as to why that is. Now, a couple of months back, I had gotten a new mouse that allows me to quick scroll through my hotbar, and you kind of saw how that works there. Now, when quick scrolling through a hotbar, you can get a lot of really cool things. And so what I decided is on basically every layer of this build moving up, I would change the block palette. Now, of course, the bottom and the top layers are all static in the blocks that they have, the bottom being andesite and the top being those deep slate tiles, which I absolutely love. And in the areas in between, I just kind of pulled different blocks into the palette. So I started by adding in a little bit more stone on the second level, and then more stone, less andesite on that one, eliminating andesite altogether, working in a little bit of tuff, and tuff is by far the least frequent item that's used in this build, though there are a couple of areas where it is a little prevalent. I might want to switch a little bit of this portion up so there's not as many of them all together. But if you really like it, then let me know, and I'm more than open to keeping it there. As we moved further up, we of course mixed in cobblestone, and not only am I forcing myself to actually build in this series because that's not something that I normally do, but this is the first time that I have voluntarily used cobblestone in a build. It's not a block that I really like using, and that's a whole part of the challenge series that we're trying to do, is getting me out of my comfort zone and trying to get me to use things that I wouldn't normally utilize in these builds. And so this cobblestone, despite the fact that I don't normally use it, I feel like it worked very well. We've then got the cobbled deep slate as well as the deep slate tiles, and I didn't really feel compelled to use the deep slate itself, mainly due to the fact that I would have to smelt it up, and I didn't really want to have to deal with that. Now, the only other changes that I made outside of the time lapse is I did put in a couple of windows. I put in a window right here off the front of the build, and I'm thinking that there might be some more work that needs to be done with this. I don't know if I want to extend it out an extra block on these sides. If you think that that should happen, feel free to let me know. If you feel like that should happen, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. And then I had to use the full blocks here because the panes just don't work with these curved walls as much as I would really like them to. And so I did opt for using the panes here as well as on the windows that I incorporated on the top floor, both over here and right over the entryway area as well. I'll be setting up kind of my main living quarters over here, which will be quite nice. And I will need to put a roof on this area, both a standard flat roof as well as a vaulted roof from the exterior, just to make sure that everything remains fairly consistent. And of course, there's a skeleton that made his way into my basement. He probably spawned in the house and wandered down here. So there's definitely still some spawn proofing that needs to happen with different light sources through here, which I feel like the best method of doing that is going to be hanging some lanterns from the ceiling. But I am going to do that in between episodes, I believe, just to kind of make things consistent. The only other big change that I made here was to the railing that I had. Initially, I had a railing running all the way along here. The railing was not needed right where the wall is, so of course those went. And then it felt awkward to me having the railing here back away from this wall. And so I did extend the platform out a little bit further that way, and then moved that fencing to serve as the railing a little bit closer. And I still really like the effect that goes into here. I may substitute in every now and again a couple of additional blocks, but I don't know if that's really needed. So I'll kind of have to continue to ponder that as well. And then I do not plan on putting slabs on the bottom side of this extension because I feel like that really kind of helps with the interesting texturing that we have going on with that floor as well as the transition between the two. So overall, I'm very pleased with how this build came together, and I'm still throwing around a couple of ideas of what I want to use for the roof. I don't know if I want to use copper. I mean, that's the obvious choice, but I don't know that it melds well with the higher up level and transition that I have with that. But if you disagree, again, feel free to let me know down in the comments. Now, one thing that I do want to do for my little axolotls here, and you'll see that I have a significant increase in the amount that I had before and the ones that I have now. I'm still missing the brown axolotl though, so hopefully we can acquire one of those soon. But this is not where they're going to live, and the place that I would really like to put them is actually downstairs, and the plan that I have is to turn this area into a little bit of a self-made geode. So I'll dig this out and make a bit more of a pool, line of course the outer edges with amethyst, and then since we have the option to get ourselves a pick that has silk touch on it from our enchanting table, what I plan on doing is gathering a couple of those amethyst crystals to decorate the interior of that little pool once I have fully constructed it. Now, there's one other thing that I wanted to do today before we kind of finish things off, and it's in relation to wanting a bit more of some wood variety. So we're gonna ride, I believe, south here is the best place for us to go to get some dark oak, because I know that we've seen it before, and we'll just want to make sure that we can get some saplings so we don't have to trek back out when we want the dark oak in the future. But before I do that, what I am going to do is make sure that I have a full strength axe on hand. I'm also going to have a hoe so I can mine up the leaves a little bit quicker and hopefully encourage the drop rate for those saplings so I can bring them back home as well. So let's head over to the crafting table here, get ourselves a couple of sticks put together, and then we'll be on our way. But I do need to run downstairs and grab some wood so I can make some additional sticks. All right, here we are. We found ourselves a little dark oak forest. Oop, that's a cactus. I didn't even notice that. But we'll just want to rest the night away real quick, and then grab ourselves a couple of these trees, primarily so we can get those saplings. So let's target a couple here on some of the outskirts. Okay, well, I was able to make off with over 2 stacks of the actual wood and several saplings to the point where we can grow at least initially 3 trees to kind of replenish the dark oak on our own terms, should that be something that we would like to do. And we actually found these relatively close to where we were at, and next to this really awesome shattered savanna little biome here. So we might need to double back and check that out a little bit further. Also, there's some desert that's right there nearby, so maybe a place that we can go looking for another desert temple later on. So that will be quite nice as well. Well, I hope you enjoyed that time lapse and the progress that we've made. Again, if you have any suggestions on what to change or add to this build, I'm open to those suggestions in the comments down below. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you did, drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe for the daily variety content. And I hope to see you in the next video. Take care, everyone, and have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. Bye-bye.